Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. In the first story, we'll tell you about how our OP's bosses wanted to make more work, forgetting they'd have the paperwork on their desks too. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. We have to list every account number? Okay. Background. I'm a property tax consultant. This is my first tax protesting season, and so far the biggest lesson I've learned is that government is a pain in the butt. The state of Texas has a state-mandated form that must be turned into the county when a tax agency represents a property owner in that county for protesting. It's detailed and annoying, but most counties are fairly lenient because human error happens a lot when we get clients to sign and label terms and whatnot, except one county, which so happens to be the biggest county in the area, so it's the most valuable. These guys have been complete pains in our butts from day one. If everything's not perfect, they refuse the entire form. So needless to say, they bring me great joy. One more quick thing. Every property in every county has a specific account number ranging from 6 to 20 digits depending on the county. The large county has 10 digits for each property account number. So last week, we get an email from the head manager of the appraisal district for this specific county specifying new rules for emailing signed forms. Before we were able to attach the signed documents from client name and ask for them to be processed. The new rule stated that every file had to be named, every account number being sent in, same on the subject line of every email, along with our agency name and ID number. Forms will not be accepted if this is not followed. This process is tedious as we now had to search for and write down every account number when we usually just use the addresses. This morning, a family friend called me and asked us to protest their taxes for them. I knew this friend owned some properties in the area, so I asked them to send over their list. I'd create the contracts and forms, and all she'd have to do is sign. As it turned out, she owned about 25 properties, 20 of them being in, you guessed it, pain-in-the-butt big county. I immediately saw where this was going, and the evil glee was joyous. So I get all the forms set up, she signed them, perfectly might I add, and I go hard with making sure I have every single account number listed out. Unfortunately, I had to make 2 separate documents as apparently 20 sets of 10 digits is too many for a file name. But you bet your butt every number fit onto that subject line, along with our own ID number and name. I then wrote out my basic body email I use for all these emails, and then added, there should be 20 total, please process every account number for company name. At the end, I CC'd my boss and sent. 2 hours later, another mass email from head manager, we don't need to list every account number anymore. Petty? Simple? Maybe, but my job got easier, so I call it a win. And our second story. How to turn on a chimney. I was a carpenter on a small island where the majority of the population has more money than sense. This has a trickle-down effect onto the tradesmen who work for them. I was working on a job with a mason I've known for years. One day, a little before Thanksgiving, we were working, the only 2 people on the job site, working late to make up for the upcoming time we were both to take off. About 6 p.m., the mason gets a phone call. With a mischievous smile, he answers it and quickly has to pull the phone away from his ear to reduce the volume of curses coming through the phone. With a glitter in his eye, he put the phone on speaker. Angry man. What the F is wrong with the chimney? The effing client's here and the whole effing house is full of smoke. What the F did you do to the chimney? It went on like this for a while. Finally, the angry man stopped for a breath. Mason. Yeah, sorry about that. I never turned the chimney on. Angry man. What the F are you talking about? Mason. It won't work until I turn it on. Angry man. Don't F with me. Get your butt down here and get this thing working. The GD clients are out on the porch freezing their butts off because of this crap. You're making me look like an a-hole. Mason. No, you are an a-hole and you did this to yourself. You screwed me over on this job and the last job I did for you. You want me to come down and turn it on? Not gonna happen until I get a check for $55,000. Angry man. What? Are you kidding me? I'm not paying you a effing dime until you come fix this. Now get your butt down here on the effing double. Mason. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Oh, and I'm heading off the island tomorrow for the holiday. Bye now. The mason hung up his phone with a huge grin on his face. A moment later, the phone rang again. He answered it into a barrage of curses. After a few seconds, he hung up again. Again, the phone rang, and again he answered it. And again, he hung up on the stream of curses from the phone. The next time he picked up, the man on the other side had calmed down a bit. Calmer man. Listen, we need to work something out. Mason. That's better. This is how it's going to work. You're going to pay me the money you owe me. $22,000 for the last job, $28,000 for this job, and $5,000 for being a jerk. And then and only then will I turn on the chimney. Got it? Calmer man. Okay, fine. Just get down here. The mason hung up and looked at me, still smiling. You got an extension ladder I can borrow? OP. Yup, the painters left one in the garage. Mason. You want to come along? OP. Does a bear crap in the woods? We loaded the ladder on my truck and drove over to the house with the non-working chimney. On the way, I got the backstory. The mason had done a chimney for the angry iPhone a couple years back and had never gotten paid. The angry iPhone had called him up a few months back, apologized for not paying him, and begged him to do another chimney on the quick. Apparently, his mason had backed out last minute. He'd sworn up and down that the money was in the bank and the mason would be paid for both. Begrudgingly, the mason agreed and had built another chimney, only to get stiffed again. But this time he'd taken measures. We got to the house to find the AM and clients sitting outside in the cold waiting for us. As soon as we got out of the truck, the client started in on us as the AM had clearly fed them some line of BS as to why the chimney didn't work. When the mason couldn't get in a word edgewise, we decided to leave, and then the AM came running, which was impressive due to his size, down to the truck to stop us. We got back out and proceeded to explain everything to the clients in front of the now truly miserable AM. The clients sat in silence for a moment, then turned their ire towards the AM, who became very sheepish and pulled out his checkbook. A nice fat check changed hands, and we unloaded the ladder and set it up on the roof. The mason looked around until he found a nice fist-sized rock, climbed up the ladder, and dropped it down the chimney. There was a crash, and smoke started coming out of the chimney. When he built the chimney, he'd installed a pane of glass partway up so that if you looked up, it would seem that the chimney was open. An old trick he'd heard about from a fellow mason years ago. We packed up and left, leaving the AM and his extremely grumpy clients to their own devices. In payment for my assistance, we stopped at the liquor store, and the mason bought me a nice bottle of scotch. Later, we learned the smoke had ruined a bunch of the nice new furniture in the house, which the AM had to replace. Lessons learned. Don't mess with craftsmen, and while opportunity may knock, karma will hunt you down. And our last story. Mother cheaps out of paying for work, gets caught with tax evasion through return address. So my neighbors moved in when I was little, and they had a daughter that was my age and a son that was about 6 years younger. They were great people. The dad did all of the work around the house, lawn, house, cars, garbage, walking the dogs, you name it. We were friends. They had 2 dogs, apparently 3. The wife worked a minimum wage secretary job or something, but the dad worked somewhere and made quite a bit of money. Taking the family to Disneyland 4 times a year for 2-week intervals and getting season tickets for the MLB team. However, since he was pretty healthy, he didn't take out a life insurance policy. Fast forward to senior year and everything's going well, then the dad dies of a heart attack. Very sad. But since he did all of the work around the house, the family didn't know how to do anything and didn't bother to learn. So this all comes down to me to mow their lawn, take out their trash, light chores, but stuff that the kids could have definitely done on their own. The mother buys the kids drinks. Sure, the daughter's 18, but the son is 11. Never made any of the kids do any chores or work. Not my place to say anything. Graduation rolls around and I have to clean up their place even more since my party is at my house. I have mine about a month or so before the daughter has hers. This is important. The daughter gets into a school in Florida and the mother decides that the best option is to just pick up all the stuff they can put in their car and move down to Florida and move in with relatives. I'd kind of been mentioning that I wanted to get paid for a while now, and the mother says, "You can have all the leftover silverware from daughter's grad party for yours." That seems like a fair enough payment. Me. Haha. LOL. No. I really want paid. Mother: well, I thought you were just doing it out of the kindness of your heart. Well, it wouldn't be that much anyway. You don't really need it anyway. I mean, you're going to a second-rate school, Kent State University. They were a-holes to me and my family for the next couple weeks, too. So as it turns out, they were not paying any bills, so those defaulted. They left their dogs locked in the basement and barely let them out, so they did all their business down there, and most of the time didn't clean it up. Anything that they couldn't take, they threw in the basement too. Furniture, food, clothes. So it was moldy and rotting. The smell got so bad you could smell it from inside my house. They had sent us a letter from their home down in Florida with a new address. The bank foreclosed on the house, and I had an idea. I copied the letter. How the mother said sorry and admitted that she fled without paying most stuff, maxing out cards, and making it seem like she left the country. All this was in the original letter. So I made a copy, put it in an envelope addressed to their house with the return address listed in there, put it in the mail, and waited for the bank to reclaim the address. Well, from what I found out over Facebook, the bank went after her. She went to jail for a while. As it turns out, CPS took the child because he wasn't going to school anymore, and the daughter failed out of school. She failed before this happened and was going to a community college then. Turns out they owed more than $110,000 when they left. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.